While I peel my jaw off the table, tell me what you think Jack Smith's interest is in Mr. Pratt.
Sure. So it's useful to think of this in and of itself unrelated to the criminal case, because there's and Pete's going to, I'm sure, talk to you because of what he's done in his career. The fact that the DNI, the intelligence community, this is their worst nightmare. We've been talking so much about, as Jonathan said, about documents being retrieved from Mar-a-Lago, but the information is still in someone's head. And the intelligence community, as we know from what happened right after the search, is doing its own intelligence assessment. This is the nightmare scenario. This is one piece of information, and you can see it chaining out, and they're going to follow that to the ends of the earth. You cannot think of anything more serious.
And you're saying they're going to follow it to the ends of the earth as part of an intel spill assessment.
Exactly. They need to know where any piece of information, and as Pete knows very well, Mar-a-Lago was a honeypot. To sit there and say it's only to the Australians, it's not. There's many, many more people there, and that's the thing that the intel community has got to be all over. But that's hard. They're going to be doing a total chain of custody, essentially. Right. But then there is the criminal component. I just want to make sure, my view is this is horrendous. It is so detrimental to our national security, regardless if there ever was a criminal case.
Right.
With respect to the criminal case, it, by the way, if all of the reporting is accurate, it is a crime to give over information that is classified, that is national defense information. It doesn't have to be a document. Mm-hmm. It's enough if it's the information. It doesn't have to be reified in a piece of paper. There are many ways that this can still be relevant to the trial, even though it's not charged in the indictment. It certainly is going to be relevant to sentencing if Donald Trump is convicted, because it is a more serious offense if you are actually disseminating the information than just the risk of dissemination. But it's also relevant to so many things that you were talking about, which is if Donald Trump were to say, this is a mistake, or no harm, no foul, I was keeping it under lock and key, this is directly relevant to refute that. It goes to sort of motive, it goes to intent, absence of mistake, all sorts of ways that the government can use this. It's not at all surprising, though, that you would not see this particular witness's name in an indictment. You would rarely want to out that in an indictment. But it is evidence that could be very relevant to the case.
Pete, I want to bring you in on this. And I'm just thinking of all the conversations I've had since the court-approved search of Mar-a-Lago with Sue Gordon, where what Andrew's getting at is I think the soul-crushing element of anyone who's worked in the intelligence agencies. Also, when you work in government, a SCIF isn't, to Andrew's point, it's not just for looking at documents, it's for having any conversation about anything that's secret. You know, we've talked about some of these things in the context of what you do with paper, but you know, to what John's reporting gets at, to what Andrew's talking about, it's the knowledge and disseminating the knowledge with a businessman from Australia that endangers the lives of intelligence agents, assets, and allies.
And Nicole, that's right. I mean, look, there is no search warrant that is going to recover material that you have in your memory. There's no Men in Black magic pen that erases the knowledge that you have from the job. So whatever might be recovered in documentary form, that is never going to get to the things that Trump will always carry around in his head. And, you know, look, it's very recent. It's very current. It's within the past several years. There's a reason Joe Biden, when he became president, said the tradition of giving ex-presidents intelligence briefings, I am not going to do for Donald Trump, because I see that as a threat. I see that as a security problem. I mean, I do want to touch a little bit investigatively. Jonathan mentioned this a bit. What's really important about this conversation is much like the conversation about Mark Milley and the Iran war plans. It was a conversation that occurred after Trump left the presidency. Yeah. Legally, investigatively, there's a huge difference. As much as he was a security risk, legally, he can do that, as much as we don't like it. But once he's left the presidency, he does not have the authority to continue talking about classified information. So this is yet another post-presidency example. Whether or not it's chargeable, verbal disclosures of classified information can present particular challenges, but it certainly creates a pattern of activity and it speaks to motive. But from a national security perspective, you're right. It's potentially devastating. It is putting our entire nuclear triad at risk. Nuclear deterrence that we relied on for 75 years, the most sensitive component of that is our nuclear submarine force. And by detailing that, he is putting soldiers at risk. He is putting our national security at risk. And oh, by the way, every single ally in the world, not just the Australians, every nation in the world who is watching this, in the event of another Trump administration, how many of them are going to want to share sensitive intelligence with the United States of America? And this, we haven't even touched on the efforts and the money and the resources that Russia and China and every hostile nation undoubtedly is putting into penetrating Mar-a-Lago. Millions of dollars over years to develop human sources, to develop technical sources. Apparently, that they can listen sitting on the balcony of the ballroom of Mar-a-Lago to hear somebody relay classified information that the ex-president of the United States just shared with them. So it's horrible from a national security perspective. It just demonstrates an absolute lack of understanding on the former president about our care for the national security of the United States, for the men and women out there defending it. And I don't know how many examples of this we're going to need before the majority of the population says enough. We can't ever have this man near a national security matter, let alone classified information again.
Pete, you're getting at so much of what is so central here, that what Jack Smith charges in the Iran document is something that was classified at the time, and Trump is no longer president. So it's a smoking gun in terms of proving all the elements of the crime of illegally retaining national defense information.